they would get into the atmosphere and would cause horrendous repercussions. That's what I'm going to get into right now, because just as of this past week, the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency of the state and federal government, have issued their official report, and this report is not pretty. Here it is. Now, please jot these words down. You need to spell them and get them correctly. Volatile organic compounds in the air in the Gulf of Mexico. This means this is airborne. The people are breathing it. They're breathing it in Louisiana and Mississippi and Florida. Women with unborn babies are breathing these things. We are going to have physical repercussions in the population of the United States of America for 1, 10, 15 years down the line that are going to be so catastrophic, because our government is not willing to tell the people the truth. They know this. The EPA has already given their report. And anybody who has any concern whatsoever for the human beings along the Gulf Coast in Florida, any person in Washington that had 1 ounce of a heart or a conscience would immediately give this out. I can't help it. I have to give it out. You know, I've been a minister of the gospel for 50 years, a little over 50 years. And I have no choice. I have to tell the truth regardless. It's my moral obligation to do so. And therefore, I feel that I positively must tell you this, and I hope that you accept it in the light of the fact that I'm trying to help you. I'm not trying to scare you. The EPA just announced volatile organic compounds in the air in the Gulf. I'll list 3 of them. One that is deadly, hydrogen sulfide. Now, I'm going to give you 2 things. I will give you, first of all, the limits of this gas that can be breathed safely. Then I'm going to give you the current level tested just days ago by the Environmental Protection Agency in the Gulf of Mexico, and these gases are being carried by the winds over the land and are being breathed by people on the coastline across the northeastern side of the Gulf of Mexico and the state of Florida, and they don't even know what they're breathing. All they know is that they're getting sick, going to the hospital, having respiratory problems. They don't have the slightest idea what they're getting into, and they should be warned. Our government should be forced to tell them what's happening, even if it does cause panic. First of all is hydrogen sulfide. The safe level allowed by the Environmental Protection Agency is 5 to 10 parts per billion. Now, please get that down correctly. ppb, as in boy. Parts per billion. Now, let me give you the current tested level currently in the Gulf of Mexico, tested by the Environmental Protection Agency just days ago, 1,200 parts per billion. That should cause you to shudder in your shoes. Remember, the safe level is 5 to 10 parts per billion. They currently are testing 1,200 parts per billion. A helicopter at 5,000 feet above the oil gusher encountered such extreme temperatures that they said that birds who landed on the water in the vicinity of the gusher were being cooked alive. There's no telling what the temperature of this is. And when these gases come out, they are being carried by the winds. Now, keep in mind something. I was a pilot for 30 years. And I know that the prevailing winds in the United States of America are from the northwest to the southeast. So everything is being carried over by the Gulf Coast, northern Florida, around the Panhandle, the state of Florida, and on over towards the Bahama Islands. Now, let's go to the second item. Oh, this one bothers me even more. This one is benzene. Benzene is toxic. Benzene is a carcinogen. It causes known cancer, especially leukemia in children. The benzene is so dangerous, and it is now airborne in the Gulf, coming out of this well and being breathed. Benzene is so toxic that the Environmental Protection Agency only allows 0 suggested to 4 parts per billion. I hope those pencils are ready. The current tested level of benzene in the atmosphere in the Gulf today is 3,000 parts per billion. Now, I'm going to pause here long enough to read you what benzene does. This is from an actual report on benzene. Exposure to low levels of benzene can cause dizziness, drowsiness, headaches, confusion, tremors, rapid heartbeat, and unconsciousness. Long-term exposure to benzene can damage the bone marrow, lead to blood problems like leukemia and amnesia. It also weakens the immune system and targets organs such as kidneys, lung, liver, and brain. Don't you think that Congress and our president should be honest enough with the American people to tell them the truth? They are being exposed to such exorbitant amounts of benzene that we are going to have health problems for years to come. And this well hasn't even been capped yet. Who knows how long it's going to go on? Well, I'm going to give you one more. Methylene chloride. Safe levels of methylene chloride are 61 parts per billion. Current tests by the Environmental Protection Agency have found 3,000 to 3,400 parts per billion. 3,000 to 3,400. These are toxic. This is flammable. This is airborne. Nobody's talking about it. The only thing that is being talked about is the black oil that's coming up. Nobody is mentioning the fact that if a hurricane, which we're in hurricane season right now, that if a hurricane passed through this area, oh my goodness, it would take these toxic fumes and carry them all up the east coast of the United States of America. And again, may I repeat, these are toxic and flammable. For instance, there are 20 million people in the state of Florida. There are only two major highways leading out of Florida, and they all go north. You can't go east, you can't go west, you can't go south. There's I-75 and I-95. Can you imagine 20 million people trying to get out of Florida all at one time on 2 interstate highways only? I mean, the economic disaster of this is going to be unbelievable. One major talk show host called me on yesterday afternoon and said to me, Lindsey, I had a lady who was in the tourist business on the Keys, and she had promised to be on my program tonight to tell what's happening down there since we're not getting the truth. He said she was threatened. She was told not to appear on my program, and he said, as a result, my guest is not going to be here tonight. Now, this is getting drastic, and they do not want the truth getting out. Fishermen, they're losing their life's profession. Now, I'll change gears for a moment and go into what I have been told. The elite plan to use this disaster to accomplish their timeline between 2010 and 2012. At this point, I must stop long enough to say, please, I beg of you, if you don't have them, you must. One of the elite, an 87-year-old man, a man who is not well, he has a malignancy. He knows he's not going to live long. He's facing the graveyard. I'm probably the only chaplain of my type that this man ever knew in his life, because he is one of them. He knows everything that goes on behind closed doors. He said to me recently, Chaplain, I'm too old to care. Just tell the world everything. And he did.